Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of this little guy right here. These are the little books where you can get that down in the description, along with my funny merchandise, all my social medias. Go down, fiddle about, check it out. And thank you guys as always. I don't think you guys really understand how much, and I know I have not been really great at communicating lately, but today's episode will kind of help you guys understand that and understand really truly how important you guys are to me, how much you truly mean to me, how much the support is really literally everything in my life. I'm so thankful for the amazing family we have here and the people that are sharing your life stories with me and yourselves with me and being just so excited for every episode. I just can't even tell you thank you enough, really, truly. I'm so happy, really. And like I said, today's episode will kind of bring light to that because, a lot of people are just like, wow, it's been a lot of years. Like, they don't realize my book was released in 2014. And it's like, when is this book? First of all, why am I just finding out about this book? And thank you for, all the awesome support and reviews and everything for that. But there's a reason behind all that. There's a reason why it's taken me so long to write book two as well. But we're going to find out about that today. And today we are going to have something I have never tried. This is a time-honored tradition in the brew world. The Sam Smiths, these guys, I like a lot of their flavors. Their stout, they've got a really killer stout that I love a lot. But this is their winter welcome ale because it's getting that time of year, isn't it? It's getting to be winter. So everybody grab your blankets, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and rocktails because the story I'm going to tell you is going to make your balls freeze like you are snow. You are Frosty the Snowman. All right. All right, so let's go here. I love this kind of nutty looking ale. I'm excited to try this because I have never actually tried this one. So, but a lot of people in the brew world love it. So I saw it at the liquor store. I'm like, I think I'll do that. Kind of like I did with rock stars at the hotel bar. All right, everybody. Cheers, big ears. Very, very good. Very smooth. A little rich without that bitterness, but still that kind of nice ale flavor, that slight bitterness. It's really good. I actually am so glad I picked that up. So you guys should too. But okay, so let's talk about it. Because like I said, and we're about to get real. No, it's going to be a hard one, so I'll probably have to stop here and there. And I have done an episode talking about this before, but it doesn't get very many views. So, plus I get especially asked a lot more lately about why is it taking me so long to do book two? Why did everybody just finding out about this book in the past few years because I didn't market it when I was released it in 2014. And like I said, we're gonna find out all the reasons why. So when I decided to do this book, a lot of reasons go behind it. It wasn't like I was hanging out with rock stars going, one day I'm going to write a book about all this. None of us thought that. None of us thought that at all, by any means. We weren't trying to make a living. We were just getting away from making a living and hanging out with our tribe and enjoying life and cutting the rug and cutting loose and enjoying the moment. But with me, one of my moments started to define me. Uh, Today is John's birthday, October 9th, and I'm going to have to deal with a lot of brouhaha, hookers and blow, bullshit like that. Like I do every few times a year, every year. But so I got sick and tired of people telling my story for me. So I decided on this book. And once I decided, my mom was excited, but in a kind of, nobody ever expected it to ever come to fruition or anybody would be interested in it. So, and I love my family, do not get me wrong. I have an incredible family, but sometimes it takes a little longer to really understand people. and that's okay. Um, so I didn't have like a shit ton of support. Like when I told my mom, she was like, "Oh, okay, that's exciting." She was supportive, but more in kind of like a okay sort of way, placating type of way. And I know she believed in me. She created me to be this artist. She created me to draw to. I was in art classes my whole life. I was in piano lessons. She had me nurturing that side of me. So I don't know why it would become like such a shock or such something so far out of reach for me, the likes of me, so to speak. So when I told my family, it was, and I kind of didn't really mention it too much. It was just like, oh, such a passing thing. I mean, it was like such a, why are you even doing that type of thing? And it was just something, "Oh, that's so stupid. We're not even going to talk about that." So when you come with that kind of energy, you don't really want to be so forthcoming. So writing it took me 8 years because I was working full-time jobs. I was believing that I was supposed to be this person that everybody else wanted me to be instead of the person that I was trying to take myself on a journey with, that we all go through. I mean, I think I was getting more positive feedback and excitement from when I would slowly, a band would come into town and I would go hang out and I'd be like, yeah, I'm writing a book. And like Oris and Lars and a couple other people were like, this is going to be awesome. We've all heard all the rumors. Now we're going to see what is true, what is not true. We're going to remember times that we probably forgot and they reminded me of times that I forgot. So I was excited from that aspect of my life. I got really great feedback, really great excitement as to where I got meh from the rest of my life, from my day to day. My friend Amber was extremely supportive and that I was really thankful for that. But really I was with a lot of people that just thought like my grandfather had written 3 books and he self-published them. I mean, like before the internet and stuff, like when you paid for your publishing and he'd get like 1,000 books and stuff, pay for it on his own, publish it, give it to family, sell it them, stuff like that. So it was taken very much as something I would do in retirement, a hobby. And not seriously, like I was shopping agents. I was shopping and querying and sending out the letters and waiting 2, 3 months and then going back at it with 2, 3 at a time because that was the way it was done then. So when I did get interest from an agent with Trident Media and a really top agent who had worked with the person who had signed, I'm with the band and all that, it was just like I couldn't even really, I didn't feel like saying anything. So because it was just like, oh, I'm not taken as seriously as other people are in my family. So because I don't kind of live the same life. I'm very different in the way I present myself, live my life, not present myself, but what I think my options are, what I think, I think outside of the box a lot more. So I don't always make sense to people in my family, and that's fine. I don't have to. Um, but I wasn't given a very warm reception, so it was just something that I was doing quietly behind the scenes for a long time. Walked away from the agency because the offers that I got was just, it was too almost famous. It was not my voice. And my family took that as, see, you're rejected. You just don't, there's nothing here to see. Nobody's going to be interested. And that's, maybe they didn't mean that, but that's the vibe I got. So when you're starting out a project like this, and that's what you're up against, and you go to write a second book, even doing those little books that I do, how to be a groupie 101, those silly little side books, even those, it's like I did go for the keyboard and I would start to kind of, have a trigger and feel myself shrinking into myself. And this is something I'll talk about more in the second book as well. And that's another thing that's really hard to write about in the second book is all of this. You have to confront some demons in your past, and even therapy, you can talk about it all you want in therapy, but it's still not going to take away that uh, ghost on the back of your neck type of feeling. So like I said, I was getting so much more positive feedback from the roadies and the musicians that I was telling, and none for my day to day. So it was really kind of a struggle for me. And plus, I was working 24, not 24/7, but a full time job, and still living my little rock star life. And one day I just decided I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write this. 8 years, I had little bits and pieces. I had my chapter outline. I had different things that I wanted to include, but I just thought, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to fucking write this. So I did. I wrote this book in 2 months. Finally, like, just sat down every day. I quit my job. I had money put away. I was paying my bills, and I opened up my scrapbooks and I just started writing. And I know it's not perfect by any means. Um, but it is all me. It's not perfect, because you try writing a book that's at 500 plus pages is only half the story. And decide what's going to go in that book when you're not an editor, when you're not a ghostwriter, you're not a publisher. You've walked away from that because you want to stay true to your voice. And, we all have different voice. We all have different slang in different parts of the country. So I knew that not everybody was going to understand that. Um, so I wrote it. And while I was writing it on Facebook, I got back in touch with a guy from my childhood that I used to go make out with in the woods. I was 12, he was 16 when we met. I was 13 and he was 17. This is a small town of 500 people. Nobody really knew. I would say I was going over to my friends and walk around the corner. He would be waiting, and we could just go out in the woods and make out. Just make out. That's it. Nothing else, right? So we got back in touch, and I thought I have to be open when I'm writing this book, because I'm going to I knew I had the self-publishing option. I knew that I was still in the midst of working with the agency to shop the book. I had not quite walked away from them yet, but I was just every day focused on writing that book from the second I woke up till when I went to bed, once or twice a day. So I was just so focused. And so I meet this guy. We'll call him Small Town Guy. So Small Town Guy is like, ooh, she's hot. Who is she? Doesn't realize I'm that same small town girl. But comes out for a visit. We realize he realizes who I am. Comes out for a visit. Things start snowballing. That's October. Things start snowballing. But I go out there for New Year's for a couple weeks. By February, I'm in a fucking moving truck, driving back to Missouri. I've always hated Missouri. I fucking hate Missouri. No offense to anybody who likes it. It's just not for me. Fucking hate that place. It's always been a place that, as idyllic as my growing up was, like, very dazed and confused, it was, there's also, sadnesses to it. What the fuck is with that one piece of hair? So, but it was just like this kind of whirlwind of, am I going to go? Am I not going to go? And then I went, he got the moving truck. And next thing I know, I'm there. And it was 2 weeks before Valentine's Day. And I was done with the book, and I was very straight up about the book, because, like I said, this is something that's going to be in my future. Either it's going to be published by a major publisher, or I'm going to self-publish on Amazon. This whole new landscape of publishing, that you don't need a publisher, because not many people were doing it back in that day. Now it's everybody and their dog as a passive income, which nothing wrong with that. But so he knew about it. He was very supportive about it. He was very fake about his belief, and that he had no insecurities about it. I reassured him that I am not going to be taking off with the next band that comes into town. He was like, yeah, nah, I'm secure. I'm cool with this. But then I move in and I release it. And, you decide to do something, and then 8 years later, here it is. You are at that fruition. I am getting ready to release my book. My family knows I'm writing it. He's getting ready to go, because small town guy worked a normal job, but he traveled constantly for his job, like 9 months out of the year, was home once a month, but anyway, or every couple months, which I'm used to. I don't know a life of dating men any other way, right? Because I date rock stars. They travel constantly. So I move in on February 12th. I release my book. I go and download it. I'm on my little mini laptop. Remember the mini laptops? I loved mine. But yeah, I was on my little laptop, did everything, got the original book cover together right here. Press submit, press publish, and it said, "Congratulations." I was so excited. I looked up, I was almost in tears, and I go, "I did it. I just published my book." And small town guy just walked on by and goes, "Oh, that's great." And his teammate who workmate who was getting ready to travel with him to wherever they were going was more excited. Teammate was like, "That's so cool." He's like, You did this. You did this for like 8 years. You did that. And I was like, "Yeah, I did it. Thank you." And that was it. That was it. That I got like 5 minutes of ooh, congratulations. I told my family about it. Nothing. So here was a second round of meh, you know, and almost an annoyance by it from small town guy. He was just so bothered by it, and it was like, you knew this, you were so supportive. I don't get what was happening. So mentally, here is another aspect that's coming down on me that's telling me that you're no big deal. Your book is no big deal. This accomplishment, well, what the fuck ever. I don't want to hear it. And it was like, I wanted to be excited. Oh my God, my first sale. Oh my God, my first review. Oh, my first bad review. I couldn't do any of that. So I had to internalize so much of it. And, my family was even like, "Oh, you need to stop talking so much about the bands because he's so pissed about that book." And I'm like, when I would tell them about that, I'm like, but I don't talk about what's in the book. I talk about my job, that I took 8 years to create this business that I am now here at this moment with, and it was just like I was being chastised for. I was being blamed for something I wasn't actually doing. But yes, I was getting excited for my first review. I was getting excited for my first sale. Who wouldn't? Every business in the world has that first dollar bill, that behind the register that they got their very first sale. How exciting. They celebrate that moment. And so mentally, here I was being just tone yourself down, dumb yourself up, right? Don't be proud of this. And then the side horse, because, like I said, I'm going to go more into this in the book because he was on constant dating apps and cities, like fuckmyfatwife.com, hookup type of sites, and every one of these girls, like he was bragging about me, and I didn't know about this. If I would have found, and I do not snoop, I've never snooped. This is the only time I ever snooped. When he was home one time, I'm like, what the fuck? Why are these people doing this? I can see who they are and he was just like, "Oh, I don't know this. What do you want me to do about it? What do you want me to do about it? Tell the Janet, the woman you fucked the night before I got there, your married little radio DJ, small town, never was, has been bitch, to quit harassing me online. I'm not bothering her. I'm not responding. I'm trying to take the higher road." But I was constantly told that it's my problem, that I was just a bitch. Well, you shouldn't fucking put yourself out there, should you? There was no support. And it was constant and constant for the next 2 years. I went into dumbing myself up even more because I had to dumb myself up and change who I was when I came back from Vegas. So it's like, it became like thinking about the book for me, and this is why I didn't market it. It became embarrassing, like I was the embarrassment. It became a trigger that started a fight that I didn't want to start that I was walking, it became something I walked on eggshells around. Forget that I was all excited that I got my first deposit after 60 days. And, there's all these little milestones that I quietly celebrated while I was in the shower or while he was gone and I was out in the yard doing a little happy dance or something. But when you don't have anybody to celebrate these moments with, that tell you there's something so wrong with what you're doing and who you are and having your voice, you get so embarrassed. You get so compartmentalized. And it didn't help that I was assaulted from behind and bled for 2 weeks on Valentine's Day, right as I moved in. That's the only thing I got for Valentine's Day. So, woo, yay. So there was also this whole aspect, and like I said, we'll get more into this in book 2, that every fear I had when I moved out across country and gave everything up for this person, for this man, for this piece of shit, narcissistic, insecure cunt. Sorry for the word, but no other way, no other word to tell you what an atrocity this person is. I had put all my trust and faith and told him every fear I had, and he was the one that made sure every fear came true. Everything, and in your 40s, you don't, that was the first time I had been assaulted like that. I had been assaulted at all. After John died, I realized the bubble that I had been living in, this protective little world in rock and roll. And when I moved back to Missouri outside of Springfield, I just realized how deep that bubble was, because I always felt so protected and safe with the rock stars. I never, to this day, it's like these are the people that I trust with my being. And I've always made it home safe. I've always been protected from that. I've always been protected from what was going on in front of that stage. So when that happened, it just, a part of me shut down because it had to. And that the part of me that shut down was associated with that book, with that part of my life, with that I should be ashamed of that. It just sort of shut down. It just sort of shut down. And then when I got out of that situation and I came back, the environment around me is like, no, you need to settle down. Do you not see what you've done to yourself? I couldn't even tell my family what was really done. Because they're, quit talking about the bands. Quit talking about the bands. I wasn't talking about the bands. You might want to talk to one of his 23 side whores who are going on to my page and talking shit to him about all those bands. Yeah. They were the only ones. I learned real quick. I was mentally conditioned real quick that Valentine's Day that I just should never talk about it. I should never talk about anything of myself. I should not be the strong, beautiful, faceted woman that I was. And you don't heal from something like that overnight. So when I got out of that, and there was even more that happened when I immediately left him, because I didn't go back to Salt Lake right away. So there's more that I have to talk about that is just really, again, more for the book, because just when you think Valentine's Day couldn't happen again, you see it coming when it's about to happen again. And you try and get out of that situation, but if you can't, you do your best to put your fucking walls up, your firewall. So, like I said, more about all that in the book. But again, this is the reason I did not market the book. For years. Like I said, it came out, it was published February 13th, 2014. And for years, I just got lost in working for the state. I got lost in what other people thought I should be doing, that I should be ashamed of myself. And are you going to stop fucking hanging out with bands? Seriously? Like, first of all, that is not all I am. And I was so lost into myself that I can't believe this is all people think I am. I went to college for art history, and most people around me don't know that. I wanted to go work for Sotheby's. I escaped the Yakuza. I went to the Middle East and sat at the Tree of Life. I have a passion for the intrigues of art history, or my ASMR for watching people build, shelters out in the wood out of just trees and stuff. I love that. Don't you? I don't know why. So it became like this big shame on me when I knew it wasn't a shame, and I never felt shamed by it. I felt that I just could not talk about myself or anything in my life or be excited about the book because I was just so wrong for doing it. I was so wrong for not growing up. And it's like I had to recover from all this. And it took years and a lot of days of having a glass of Bailey's with my therapist on BetterHelp. I'm not even kidding either. I'd be like, Melanie, I mean, it's my day off. I need to have a drink. I just need to breathe. And she never judged me for it. And that was the first time that I didn't feel judged. And that was the first step of my healing because I had this huge judgment on me that I didn't realize was on me since before John died. I didn't realize my bubble was so thick and so cultivated. My little rock and roll fantasy and the way the guys treat you ladies in the comments that have hung out with rock stars, you know how you're coddled, you know how you're protected, you know how it is behind the rock world, so that when you date someone from the real world, it's kind of like, what? Huh? And when that stuff happens, you're like, who's here to protect me? And you realize no one, because you're not telling your rock friends. And even when I was in that situation and when I moved in with a small town boy, I was just criticized at every move. Like, he bitched at me because I didn't get his Willie Nelson was coming to play. He bitched at me because I didn't get his sister backstage to Willie Nelson because the concert was canceled and never rescheduled while I was there. So if something does not happen, how am I supposed to do something? So it's just every aspect of my life. So I felt like I had to put me, myself, and rock and roll and my book and being proud of it and promoting and everything into this little box inside of me and just keep it a secret. My family's kind of become more comfortable with it a lot later lately, especially since the YouTube channel. I'm allowed to talk. I feel more comfortable. Not that was never allowed, but I'm not shut down like I used to be. I feel more comfortable having a conversation. Is, oh, I'm writing my second book, you know, and I don't feel judged. And it's finally I'm at this point in my life where I feel comfortable writing that second book where I'm not having as many triggers. I mean, I still get triggered every time I get a review, good or bad. When I see an extra star or something go up, I'm like, because of the way. And most of the time, the side whores, didn't even read the book because you don't have to. You don't have to read any book to leave a review. No. So you can just download it. You don't have to read it the second you download it. Blam. And if you have KDB, it's KD, Kindle or whatever, it's free. If you have Amazon Prime, it can be free for the ebook. So that's what they were doing. They were going and downloading the ebook, not reading it, and saying, haha, she's such a dumb whore. Like, go down. There's some of those comments are still there. Some of them were removed. But it was, oh, she's such a dumb whore. And so funny that she's getting what she deserved. She never thought of anybody else's wife, did she? Because nobody was married back then, you fucking whores. I hate it when people are trying to justify their actions by being abusive to somebody else. And that was one of the many things. It's like, so that was one of the many mental abuses that I had put on me with this book. I was not ashamed of it. And, plus I had people fuck me over that I paid to edit it, that a good friend of mine was like, oh, I'll edit it for you. Don't worry. And like 6 months later, I'm like, are you going to do anything with it? Well, I'm not getting paid. Well, I'll pay you. No, no, you're my friend. I'll do this for free. But okay, well, just give it back to me. So, there's a lot of things that it took me a lot of courage to even start writing the book. Like the first incantation of And She Was, that's the title of my second book. Um, and She Was, the first incantation was fictional characters. So I developed all these characters. I wrote the first few chapters, but I think that's something I'll save for a third book. I'll write a rock and roll novel. But and trying to find anything that I want to put, and you guys have really helped me, and it's because of you guys here that I am able to write the second book, that I have the confidence, that I'm now excited, and I think I hopefully will get this book done in the next couple months, because I finally have an outline to the second book. I finally feel comfortable. I finally feel confident that maybe I was meant to be a writer. I am an author. I mean, I'm already there. I wrote a book. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's all me. And I'd like to invite anybody else who thinks it's so easy to do it. Go right ahead. But yes, and I like I said, I have a lot more support from my family. I have a lot more belief. I have a lot more understanding. And that's so important to me, and so thankful that I have that now, and that I don't feel that I have to hide that side of myself, because we should not have to hide parts of ourselves. You either love us and support us through everything, or you don't. When you're family, when you're getting into a relationship, if you're not comfortable, just say you're not comfortable with it and bow out the door, respectfully, before you're putting someone into a situation where it's going to affect them every day for the rest of their life. Because it will. It does. So yeah, I mean, but the one thing that always made me smile and always reassured me that my rock family, no fucking regrets. I should never be ashamed of a single one. Is because they were always supportive. I can still go have dinner and drinks with my rock family. I can just relax, be who I am, and be seen, and actually have a conversation of, hey, how's the second book? How's that going? Somebody will actually ask me about it. And it's like the tattoo on the back of my show, in my back right here. It's a lotus with the and I'll put a picture of it right here. But it's a lotus with the treble clef in the middle of it, because the deeper the mud, the old Buddha saying a lotus is a flower that grows in the mud, and the deeper the mud, the more beautiful the flower. Rock and roll's always been what pulled me out of the mud, just in different ways than it does the people in front of the stage. So it's like, and that was a great revelation that I was able to have through all these years, between, the past decade of what I was going through, confidently, naively along life. And then, holy fuck, you know, small town bullshit reality came and slapped me up on the head again. But, it's like I said, I'm so thankful that I have this family here that has really, really encouraged me, really, really given me the confidence to actually go for that second book, to really sit down and write it, to really sit down, get those chapters named, outlined, figured out what I'm going to do in each chapter. It definitely isn't going to be another 600 page rock and roll Iliad, you know what I mean? But I have direction, and that I feel not embarrassed about my journey. I don't feel scared to write anymore, because as much as I wanted to go work at Sotheby's, here I am. I'm an author. And thank you guys so much for letting me know that. I appreciate you guys. And that's why it's taken me so long to get to the second book. So, and ladies, like I said, if you've hung out backstage, go down in the comments. Tell me what, you know, how you felt. Did you feel in that same protective bubble that I did? You know, and what was your realization of how different dating in rock and roll and dating, and I've done an episode on this. I have done an episode, you know, dating rock stars versus dating normal man. You know, so yeah, tell me down in the comments what was your experience weighing out the two, positive, negative, and how did you feel protected in the bubble? So, and thank you again to everybody for getting to the end of the episode. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that you listen to my babble and that you give me a place where I feel so safe to just be myself, to talk about what was going on, to even say it out loud, because sometimes saying it out loud, my therapist knew what was going on before my family, my friends, anybody, you know, because she listened, you know, and that's a huge, huge step. And it's like, you know what? I just want to be in my own little world. I love my rock stars. I love my old friends. I still need to be reminded once in a while who I am. And those guys never fail me. They have never failed me. Groupies aren't disposable people, are we? All right. And again, thank you so, so much for just getting to the end of the episode with me, listening to my babble, for being supportive, for giving me this confidence, this safe place. You guys rock. And don't forget to hit that share, hit the subscribe, hit the boost, hit the bells, because we want cocktails and rocktails and my book and all the other girls' stories, because this will open the doors for them too, to give them their platform. Let's get this signed to HBO or Cinemax or someone like that. It's time a groupie story is heard. Not just be a secondary part of the story that is trying to make them almost famous, because, baby, we're bigger than that. So, share, subscribe, hit my bells, and we'll see you next time on Cocktails and Mocktails. Cheers, big ears.